Welcome to episode 136 of the Bandhive Podcast. It is time for another episode of the Bandhive Podcast. My name is James Cross, and I help independent artists tour smart. Now, I gotta say, mental health is often a struggle for lots of musicians and artists and people who are working in the music industry. Now, I'm far from being an expert, but I do know that it's vital to have a life and somewhat of a personality outside of the music world. As tempting as it can be to make everything you do in your life about music, and trust me, it will suck you in if you let it, you need to have some kind of activities outside of music because that will make you a healthier person and could even lead to inspiration for your songs and your music. So on this episode, I'm going to dive into some of the benefits of having a life outside of music because all too often I see people whose entire personality becomes the musician. And it's great if that's branding, but if that's really all you do, that's not necessarily a good thing for your mental health or for your career. First and foremost, having some hobbies or activities or whatever you want to call them outside of music gives you a break. A lot of people who struggle with writer's block get locked in and focus so much on creating a new song that they don't even realize they're holding themselves back because they're not taking a break and trying to maintain laser focus. And that's what's actually making them have that writer's block because they're not giving themselves a moment to step back and enjoy life and do something else. So if you're struggling with writer's block, maybe the solution is don't try to write for a couple days. Go do something else. Try something new if you don't have a hobby, find something new. And it can be really beneficial to you. Ideally, before you get to that point, before you get into writer's block or whatever rut you're stuck in or will be stuck in, you want to get out of that before it even happens. So for example, I'm not personally a songwriter or an artist. That's something that's just never appealed to me. I've always enjoyed more the behind the scenes kind of work that I do. But even with that, it is easy to get burned out. As much as I enjoy it, it can get old, it can get frustrating, it can get mind-numbingly boring at times. That's just the reality is the music industry isn't always fun and exciting. There are plenty of times where it gets boring. So some of the things I do to keep my mind fresh are some mild hiking. I don't go climb Mount Everest or anything like that. I just going outside and enjoying some fresh air, Doesn't have to be extra strenuous or anything like that, but getting outside, walking around. Another thing I do is I volunteer for a local baseball team now. Granted, I do sound, so I guess it's kind of music related, but it's more so like playing funny effects and clips and that kind of stuff. Although there is obviously some music involved for the players' walk-up songs, playing some organ music clips, that kind of stuff. And then last but not least, flying. And each of these activities let me go out of my usual day-to-day routine in a different way. So starting off with hiking, that just lets me enjoy nature and it's very peaceful and relaxing. And I see lots of dogs, which is always a plus. I love seeing dogs out and about. Now that I don't have a dog of my own anymore for the last year and a half, it's really great to go out and meet a bunch of new dogs that are most of the time friendly. Just being able to go enjoy the sights, even if it's somewhere I've been a bunch of times, it's still, if it's the right spot, kind of magical to be like, wow, this is real. One of my favorite spots is an old granite quarry, and you can just walk through there, and it looks beautiful. Even though it's just zits on the face of the earth by companies mining granite and making giant holes, it looks really cool, and they're filled with water, and it looks amazing. Going to see that is just a very zen state of mind. The baseball team, that gives me a regular boost of adrenaline because we're never going to know if we're going to win or not. Right now, we are, I believe, 10-1 on the season. Let me actually look this up. Let's see, necbl.com. We're 11-1, so the correction there. That's insane. No other team has more than, let's see, there's a team from Connecticut that's 10-2. So we're doing a little better than they are. But 11-1, I don't think we've ever done that well at all as a team. This is the Vermont Mountaineers. They were 8-1. Or 8-0 before they lost that one game. But now we've, after that loss, won 3 more. That's actually incredible. 11-1. Wow. So we are far ahead. We're 4.5 games ahead in the division. And the worst place team is 3-9. So we have We have lost fewer games than the worst team has won. That is impressive. Anyway, the main thing about that team is that it gets me to go out and do something that I normally wouldn't do. So in this case, if I play funny clips or if I play like some crowd prompts or something, and the crowd reacts to that well, that's always a little bit of an ego boost, even though I'm just an anonymous guy pressing buttons on a computer and running a mixer. Like, that all aside, it's still a fun thing to do that I enjoy, and I've been doing it for a few years now. I like it. It's like 2 months during the summer, easy work. It's a good time hanging out with good people who all love baseball. I would much rather go do that than sit at a pro baseball game and just, watch. Like, I love baseball, but just watching gets boring after a while, unless it's an exciting game or it's the playoffs or something. If I'm going to go watch baseball, I might as well have fun while I do it. So that's what I do. And then last but not least, flying gives me a sense of adventure, and it has the opportunity to explore new places, all while I'm challenging myself, learning something new, and enjoying really amazing views. I had a flight last week and it was bonkers. It was not quite sunset, but it was probably about an hour before sunset when the sun is starting to get low over the mountains, and it just looked incredible. It was a beautiful day for flying. And so each of these hobbies fulfills my non-musical desires in a different way. They all they don't overlap, but they're complementary, which means I have a healthier and more rounded mindset when I go back to work the next day. And you can absolutely do the same thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same hobbies, and I don't expect them to be, but you probably already have an idea of what you like to do in your downtime. And, if you've just packed your schedule so much that you don't know what your hobbies are, look at what you enjoy and find something similar that is not work or music related to keep you going. So for example, I know people who restore old arcade games. It's super nerdy, but I love it. That's so cool. Like, that takes a very specific skill set. You got to learn how to do that, and you have to have a real passion for it because, why else would you do that? Now, I have no idea how expensive it is. It's probably pretty pricey to get these old antique games, but still, that's such a cool hobby. You could also do something like, I don't know, crocheting. If you like crocheting, go do that. It doesn't have to be anything that is super exciting or unique. It just has to be something that takes your mind off of whatever you're struggling with, because as much as we make music out of passion, it is a business, and we do have to run it like a business. So we have to treat it as work. Now, I'm not saying we have to say, oh, I hate doing this, like, oh, it's my 9 to 5. No, that's not it. But it does take both a creative skill set and an analytical and management skill set. And if you get stuck on either one of those, it's time for a break. So as much as I hate to say it, if your schedule is jam-packed like mine is, maybe you should take some time away from your music each week. Now, I know you're saying, well, you want to spend as much time as possible on your music, but what use is spending 30 hours ineffectively working on your music when you could accomplish twice as much in 20 hours during a time when you're feeling great about yourself because you feel personally fulfilled and you've been spending all week on your hobbies, getting to do something that you enjoy that's not music related. You're getting out of the time suck, or you're getting out of the writer's block, or whatever rut you're stuck in. Why not go and spend a few hours a week on something else if that is going to help you become a more effective artist who can then spend less time and accomplish more? The main thing is you want to avoid that rut. You want to avoid writer's block or burnout or anything like that. So I'm really curious. Let me know. What do you do in your spare time to keep yourself inspired and excited about making music? We'll have a thread in the Bandhive community on Facebook, which you can find by searching for Bandhive, all one word, on Facebook, or you can go to bandhive.rocks/group to be automatically redirected to that Facebook group. Again, that's bandhive.rocks/group or searching for Bandhive on Facebook. That does it for this episode of the Bandhive Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I really appreciate it. And I hope that this episode has given you some ideas on how you can get out of that rut, how you can, avoid writer's block, and how you can be a healthier human being, mentally speaking. So, like I said at the end of the episode, I would love to know what you do to keep yourself grounded and, unblocked just let us know. In the Bandhive community, there will be a thread for this very episode. You can find it by going to bandhive.rocks/group or searching for Bandhive on Facebook. We'll be back with another brand new episode next Tuesday at 6 a.m. Eastern Time in your favorite podcasting app. Do me a favor, don't forget to subscribe as well so you don't miss that episode, and it also helps the algorithm tell people that we actually put out good content, and that will help more artists find this advice and boost their careers. Just remember, it's free to subscribe, and a rising tide raises all ships. So it's in your interest to have more artists find the show and improve their work, because as we all improve, the industry as a whole gets better. Thanks again for listening. Like I said, we will be back next Tuesday at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. Until then, I hope you have a great week. Stay safe. And of course, as always, keep rocking.